Hey folks, it's Michael Johnson. Welcome to this week's Energy Sketch. We're going to talk a little bit about procrastination today. So let's imagine that this is you here right now, today, looking ahead in time towards a new project, a new adventure that you want to go on. And you're going to walk along a path, and at some point, you're going to have choices, and all these choices are going to branch, and you're going to have a sort of a multitude, an infinity of possible eventual results that could come from embarking on this new direction, this new adventure. And as I talked about last week, there's a kind of a tyranny there of all these open loops that you need to handle. And I find often for myself, I tend to invent future scenarios, and we all do this. And if you're feeling a bit depressed, perhaps, or have a tendency toward that side, often I find I can make all of these negative, all of these little branches, these potential results, often a lot of them are negative. Maybe a few of them are like, yay, we succeeded, but often they're like, oh, this person's not going to be happy or this thing's going to go wrong. And all these, a lot of negative, a lot of like sadness, a lot of harshness potentially that you see in the future. And I find often that focusing on those potentialities of negative results in the future can lead eventually to basically what happens is when you have this first choice to be made, you create a third choice, which is screw it, do nothing, and get caught up in a giant, giant mess, what I call the vortex of procrastination. So instead of making this choice here and going along the path, you take a third option and you end up down in this bog, this mess, this muddy area. And maybe if you're lucky, finally you might pop out at the end, but then you don't have many choices of what you can do because you've wasted all this time here potentially. So there's not many options as to how you can execute that project. So you end up on the only path that's possible within this time frame. And often that doesn't uh, lead to a nice quality either. And so there are a couple of ways that I found helpful to reframe. For instance, we could reframe these negative and sad things into maybe little light bulb moments, little learnings. Reframe the negative into learnings. That's the first option of reframing. And maybe the other thing to remember is that infinity, right? There are way, way, way more options than what you can imagine. Surprises will happen. So make a commitment to be delighted by those surprises, whatever they may be. No need to bring a prejudgment to them. So those are a couple of ways that I've been trying to reframe this vortex of procrastination, reframe those potential future scenarios into learnings, and commit to having an adventure and being surprised along the way. So I hope that was helpful for you folks talking about procrastination and reframing. Take care. Nice to see you again. See you next week, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, youtube.com/@energy sketch. See you later. Toodaloo.